0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, and I'm not talking about the Tesla Roadster new generation. I'm talking about this little number, Aspark Owl. Aspark? Sounds naughty, but probably good business idea. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Aspark Owl, and there is a video now circling the internet. If you haven't seen it already, I'm gonna show it to you right now. Them testing this car at the back of what I'm assuming their manufacturing facility. Very short track, I have to say, very short track to go 0 to 60 and then come to the complete stop. So let's look at this video. Right here, as you can see, it's literally in a back parking lot. Look at that. Look at that, and boom, it has to stop, right? It's like a tiny little parking lot, so we'll see it again in a second. But anyway, so this car is let's just watch it one more time. It really is like, looks like a same acceleration as the Roadster. So this car is not brand new. You know, they were actually unveiled at the Frankfurt Motor Show last year, and it looked like they have a promotional video as well. So let me show you the promotional video. It's kind of a long and drawn out and dramatic. There's dramatic music playing, so I'll let you guys kind of watch it at the same time as I'm talking about it. But this car was already unveiled at the Frankfurt Auto Show about a year ago, and there was even the video that they were testing in the same parking lot was just kind of a cage over the car, so it's pretty cool. But now it looks like it is kind of in a pretty good shape. Now, before you put your name on the reservation list, please remember that it's $4.4 million, and I think they're going to make only about 80 of them. So if you want it, you better hurry up. If you don't have the money, we're just gonna have to stick with the Tesla Roadster if you have the money for that. But here's the point. By the way, at the beginning, people were reporting it was like 1.6 seconds, and then they switched to 1.92 seconds. But still, nevertheless, very really impressive. And once again, this is probably not gonna do anything for any of us, right? It's just for very rich car collectors. But what it does do, and it is, look at that. I mean, I really like the way it looks, right? I mean, let me know in the chat room, or if you're watching in the replay, let me know in the comment section if you like the way it looks. Give me a 1 to 10. I think it's an 8. I think it's pretty good looking car. So yeah, you know, this is yet another display of power and excitement of electric motor. And you know, time after time after time with the Tesla Roadster, with the Rimac Concept 2, that's just a working name. Now this car, we see more and more of these cars being displayed to the world as better than Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Bugattis, and so forth. So I think this is just yet another great ambassador of this technology, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Of course, not too many of us can afford it, but that's, you know, just like I said, this is like a Tesla Roadster in space, right? It doesn't do anything for us, but it does showcase an amazing excitement of the car. So I thought it was really cool. It's been kind of circling in the internet for the last 24 hours. If you haven't seen it, you can easily YouTube it. Derek in the chat room gives it 9.5. Helmut P gives it a 7. I'm talking about just the looks, right? Yes, it is 4.4. I think it looks like a concept, says Derek, for a low-budget Batmobile. It's nice, but that makes it useless to me. Yeah, you know, it is very low. I mean, it is extremely low. It is street legal. That's why people are talking about it. Street legal. I have seen this car at Frankfurt show. I did not know it was electric, says Gabriel Pop. That's really cool. If you have pictures, definitely send it over. I would love to show it to everybody. Anyway, listen, I know we're going to be rarely talking about this car, maybe when they sell the very first one, but just like I said, I absolutely love the fact that it's out there. Adrian C6 gives it an 8, so, and Tony gives it a 7, so it's a 10, sort of 10 by 10. Says Jonathan J. So Jonathan, I'm gonna assuming you like the car. Anyway, I don't see anything below 7 so far. Physics gives it a 7, -1 for not being red. Hey, you can't do that, so it's really an 8, man. I'm sure you can, you know, paint it, because it's not as sexy as a Roadster, and -1 because you said so. Wow, that is a tough scale. That is a tough scale, man. All right, let's move on to the NASA thing, because people were reporting that Tesla was hacked. Was it true? Let me tell you just in 1 second. Of course, I'm going to talk about my sponsor first. Thank you to Avanex for sponsoring this video and my channel. the aftermarket accessories for Tesla, and they were kind enough to give us all, this community, a discount code, which you can find in the description of this video. All right, let's move on to the next story. Was Tesla hacked? Now, a lot of people say, oh, you know, these Teslas, you know, they're electric, they're connected by the internet, it's easy to, like, you know, take control over them, and they'll run them into the pole and everything. Now, granted, it is probably possible. It might even happen sometime in the future. That's why people, you know, totally freak out when they see these headlines. Well, so Tesla was not hacked. I mean, the car was not hacked. What was hacked was the Tesla cloud servers, right? You know, from Amazon. Amazon lets businesses and people rent their servers, which is actually one of the biggest Amazon businesses there, not just selling books to us. And they, I guess they were hacked by this cryptocurrency miners, right? People who mine cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and everything. And mining cryptocurrency, I don't want to get into it, but it requires a lot of expensive hardware, including, you know, GPU, you know, type of, what is it, video cards, right? And you can even buy them. And if you buy them, you have to buy them for triple of the price. So it's expensive. So what those hackers did, they hacked into servers that Tesla uses for their testing, I believe, and they were mining slowly. They didn't want to use too much CPU, not to really get any much attention, and they were mining their cryptocurrency. It does not look like they stole any data. It doesn't look like any customer data was compromised. There was a security company, I think it's called Redlock, that noticed this, reported it to Tesla. Tesla took care of it because Tesla has this reward system. When somebody reports a hack, they'll, you know, pay you up to $10,000 as a reward. So this was pretty cool. This was taken care of, but nevertheless, this you know, raises questions about, hey, can these electric cars that or any car that's connected to the internet be hacked, and could it be hacked for evil? This is not one of those cases, all right? So this is just hacking something else. It's like hacking their Twitter account or website. It has nothing to do with the car. So it is it is an interesting story, but I don't want people to freak out. People are still talking about the Roadster in the chat room. Used Tesla channel says Tesla Roadster is more real life usable and appealing than the race car for the road. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think going back to the Aspark Owl is absolutely, this is not a car that you'll probably see people driving to the street or, you know, traveling in. Obviously, Tesla Roadster is still an exotic car, but definitely much more sort of a street useful, if you will, because I mean, you can see how low this car is. You can't even go over the bump or get out of your driveway. It's really meant for the track and, you know, for collector's showroom floor probably. Tesla just overpassed Mercedes and BMW luxury cars in sales in Europe, says Fripp. You know what? The reason I did not do that story today is because I don't like stats that are a little bit crooked, right? Now, yes, Tesla has been outselling Mercedes S-Class and BMW 7 Series, but however, it's really right, because so BMW has, for example, 5 Series, 6 Series, and 7 Series. Now, and they put, you know, all together, they're still outselling the Model S, which is sort of the only thing that Tesla has to compete with a sort of a high-end 4-door sedans, right? So together, they're technically overselling it, but because they have several models in sort of that price range and in that group, of course, one of them is going to lose. So same thing with Mercedes. So I just want to make sure that we understand how that statistics kind of worked out, right? So yes, head-to-head Mercedes S-Class and the Model S. Model S is definitely overselling it, except for in Germany, by the way. But again, it's not to be fair because there are other people buying other types of 4-door sedans from Mercedes, you know, and BMW that in the same category, but just named differently. So I just want to be very careful about that. Let's see. Smart lock can be hacked, says Derek in the chat room. I mean, listen, almost everything that's made by human can probably be hacked by human. I'm hoping there will be government regulations in the future that will, you know, have some strict standards on how you can put software in a car to make sure that it's not hacked, and probably penalties for those who hack cars, right? Do you think it was one Tesla's side or Amazon side that should be blamed for the hack? You know, I believe it wasn't password protected somewhere, so I'm going to assume it's Tesla. It's very rarely that Amazon or hosting companies really are blamed for it because they're just providing hardware. I'm going to go with Tesla on this one, but it looks like they fixed it, right? So the Aspark is for collectors, says DRK. She is absolutely right. All right, guys, let me, by the way, remind you that if you want to get behind the wheel of a Tesla semi-truck like I did last year, but this time actually drive it around on the test track, please go ahead and submit your email address for a newsletter for Tesla using the link down below in the description of this video. That way you and I get enter a drawing and hopefully that have that experience and show it to the world here, to this community. And if you're enjoying this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, because it always does better when many of you do that, and I really appreciate it. Let's move on to comment of the day. This one actually a double header, because I read a comment from In My Honest Opinion yesterday. We were talking about subsidies, the $7,500 tax credit that I argue is not being paid by taxpayers, because the taxpayer pool never sees the $7,500, because it's just the money that you are not paying that otherwise you would have into the taxpayer pool. So since it never makes it to the pool of the money, you know, or if it does, you give it right back, then it's really not a taxpayer subsidy. As a matter of fact, if you know those people who have kids, right, they pay less taxes than the rest of us who don't, and dependent kids, right? And nobody says, well, you taxpayers are paying for your children. No, you just get to pay less taxes. And there's so many different things in the tax code here in the United States and other countries where just allow you to pay a little bit less in taxes if you have some something you can claim, right? Like property or kids or car. Now he comes back and he brings up a good point that if you lease a car and you may not, like he said, he's retired, right? So if he was to buy an electric car, lease an electric car, actually, he paid no taxes, but he will still get a benefit of a $7,500 incentives, because when you lease a car, it is the bank that claims the $7,500 credit. So that's an interesting point, right? First of all, I'm still going to go with the whole thing is that doesn't matter who gets the benefit. That money never actually makes it to the federal government taxpayer pool. And if it does, it means that you basically gave them a free loan, right? Interest-free loan, and you're just getting your money back. Who that is, whether it's you or your bank, that's a completely different point. Now, I personally agree that it's very weird that it's the bank that gets the $7,500 credit. Because don't forget, you're only going to be using about 50% of the value of the car, so you only get half of that credit if you think about it, and they get the other half, which I think is really not really fair, because that $7,500 should really come from the top, not from the top and then the top of the second half. That's just how leases work. So I find it is very weird. I think that is a flaw. So I agree with you on that one. However, I still am going to say that this $7,500, they're just never making it into taxpayer pool. So whenever somebody gets a Tesla or another car, they are just using their own money, just like people with kids or property and other, sometimes I think disabilities and so forth. So I'm going to go with that, but that's a great point. I appreciate it. So that's why I wanted to feature it as a comment of the day. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm once again overtime here. Don't forget to come back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to do this over again. I'm sure there will be more exciting news. Other than that, see you next time. And remember to stay charged.